Okay. Welcome everyone to the Chaos Data Science Working Group meeting for January 13th. As always, this meeting and the rest of the Chaos meetings do fall under the Chaos Code of Conduct, so please do be kind to each other. Um, while we wait for Kelly, because these two agenda items are mostly on her side, let me jump to the bottom and talk about just a couple of reminders. So we do have ChaosCon EU coming up on January 29th. This is right before FOSDEM, so it's the Thursday before FOSDEM weekend in Brussels. There will be a live stream, so you're welcome to just watch it if you're not going to be there in person. But we are looking for people to if they're planning to be there, please go ahead and register because we need things like dietary restrictions and such. But it's gonna be fun. We've got some good talks. I'm not just saying that because I have one of them. And we've got a whole bunch of really good breakout sessions, including one that we'll talk about in a few minutes because we have a data science breakout session at ChaosCon. The other thing that people might be interested in, if you're uh, in or interested in traveling to the US right now, is sorry, not ChaosCon, Open Source Summit North America. So this is a Linux Foundation event. It's being held in May in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the CFP closes on February 8th. So the CFP closes in just a couple of weeks. So this is just a friendly reminder that if you're interested in going to that event, getting a talk accepted is the way to go without paying the event fee. So I encourage people to submit talks if you're interested in doing that. And oh, good, I vamped long enough for Callie to join. Um, Hey, Callie. Because the
Hello.
first thing we have on the agenda is planning for the ChaosCon EU breakout session.
Yeah.
So, um, Callie, if you
Is
want to you just want to run the meeting because I think most of the agenda items are yours anyways. Do you want to just? I've got
yeah,
to start the
is
recording
Sal
started.
coming?
I don't know. I haven't heard from Sal.
Let me check. I thought that they were, but me. Okay.
I think Alice has gotten quite busy this January, but she says she will be able to join chaos meetings, but
Okay.
maybe something come up.
Oh, hey, David. I will drop the link in the chat again so that everybody has it. Oh, there's Sal. Perfect.
There we go.
Excellent timing, Sal. We were just pinging you to see if you were gonna be here. Um, awesome. Cool. All right, Callie.
Yep.
So,
Let me just pull up
oh, do
the.
you want me to stop sharing so you can share whatever you want to share?
Sure.
Okay.
Um, because this is still a little bit variable, so if we want to break this down differently, we can. Um, so this is the unofficial schedule for ChaosCon. Um, what I want to talk about today is this block. We can kind of think about this room as, at least how I'm thinking about it, is kind of the data science working room or working group room. Like this is our track. Um, and the first hour and a half would be the prototyping workshop by Sal. I wanted to check in with them to make sure that that so wanted to do the like kind of 15-minute intro for 8 on an auger at the beginning as like a starting point so we can kind of start by talking about that first like hour and a half bit. You know, it's kind of Sal's thing.
I don't think we
Sal,
can hear you if you're talking, Sal.
Oh, can you now?
yeah.
Oh yeah, now we're
Uh,
good.
okay. Yeah. So first off, sorry for being a little bit out of touch on this. I'm like just getting off of a bunch of travel and movement. But yeah, so the rapid prototyping is just a very simple, like define your goal, your team. It's very simple. You can use it for tech or non-tech. Give me about 20 minutes to explain it to people and then give us about 40 minutes to start prototyping. But really what you get out of that, it's not that anyone's going to have complete projects. It's a way of teaching people how to communicate to your project and define issues and scope. So that we should be able to walk away from this
Just a
with people
reminder,
knowing.
Callie, that you're sharing your screen, including
Oh,
your
thank
Slack.
you. This is
Yep.
not for me. I thought that was
Sorry,
for me.
sorry, Sal. That looked like maybe.
I'm trying to figure out why someone else is in here. How
All
do I
good.
stop sharing?
Just send me the
Yeah,
link and I can share it. Or okay, that's good.
but yeah, so my goal for them to come out of here, I want us to have new contributors providing like issues and like not to the PR point, but it's teaching them how to contribute mindfully. So as long as we get a good preview of which projects they can be looking at, and I can point them towards possibly some good first issues, yeah, that should be great. But I really need like an hour max with that. We can shorten it up if you need to.
Okay. My thought process is that Adrian, so I was just trying to ping him because usually he's here.
I'm here.
Would kind of
He's
there we
here.
go. Oh, he is
I
here.
joined like
Hello.
7 minutes late. Sorry.
No, we're all just kind of hopping in. Would right at the beginning kind of do like the Augur 8 knot quick start, which is really just, hey, clone the repository, Docker compose up build, yay. Um, and then to do and then like kind of the content that you're describing, and then I was curious to see if there was a certain type of issues or things that you would think would be helpful to kind of have ready to go on the augured 8 knot side that would be useful for people to have to do to like work with this framework.
That
Oh, was trying to
question,
fit me. Oh,
yeah,
I'm
who's
sorry.
that for?
I would say it's for Sal of
Yeah,
does the early portion sound good, and what do you think would be beneficial to have from those two projects for that like kind of 40-minute like work session to make it the most like useful for everybody?
yeah. So I think if we can come with like 3 or 4 like good first issues, and they don't necessarily have to be like PRable issues. If there's something that you're looking for 1 or 2 contributors, the way that I use rapid prototyping, because we're going to be in a setting where we can essentially get small volunteer teams that are going to be able to work together, but we have to project manage them for 40 minutes so that they understand what and why they want to do things, right? So it's not about give them an issue and then tell them to complete it or hand them a PR. It's helpful to have those if we've got some really low skilled people, but I want them to look at this, look at the issues that exist, and write their own, scope their own suggestions for what they want to improve and engage with. Um, so yeah, it's a contributor pathway.
Okay. I'm curious to see for this framework, do you think that something like working on a new visualization in 8 knot or working on a certain functionality of the application kind of fits better into this framework?
Both of those would be fine. I mean,
Okay.
so they're not going to have enough time to do
Yeah.
development. It's not development practice, right? So
Yep.
the goal here is to say, all right, here's some things that we've been looking at, and then to have a contributor come to you because uniquely we'll have maintainers present and
Yes.
available to answer any questions and concerns. And then hopefully be able to leave with them being able to do work outside of that space.
Okay, that makes
So
sense. We need to have some good first issues up for all of them anyways. So I'm gonna like for the people have stuff to look at. I want to make sure we have kind of both sides of it, especially since a lot of it I just need I slash like my team needs to make the issues for new visualizations on 8 knot because just saying please make chaos visualizations is not is probably not enough guidance for new contributors to come in. And so that's what I'm kind of thinking about, which kind of brings in together like different portions of chaos, thinking of it as like a data science track of okay, let's take some of like
mhm.
the prototyping. They may not get there, but at least they can start to think about okay, how do I take the metric models and the ways to think about analyzing communities. Let's looking at how do we prototype and start working on a project quickly and bringing in maybe try to integrate visualizations into eight. Not saying that they'll finish that, but maybe is that like a kind of as a starting point, getting people moving and thinking about kind of the different areas of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll get slides out over to y'all so it makes a lot more sense, but it is extremely simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the like my team side, so myself and Adrian, for this time block, besides kind of the introduction to Anon to Augur, is there anything specifically you need from us?
Yeah, so once every 20 minutes, someone is going to approach you and they're going to show you either an issue, a PR, or like even a visualization on a piece of paper. You're
Okay.
going to have to be engaging with them for about 2 minutes and then they're going to walk away. Yeah, so
Okay,
don't need
that's
a lot
easy
of your
then.
time,
No,
just need you in
no
the room.
pre-prep. Okay, perfect.
Nope. Yeah.
Okay. So this time block seems pretty well established. I think we're good to move over to what we want to do. And I have a feeling that these might merge together a bit. So kind of see of what we want to do with the hour for specifically the data science, like meetup, working group, what time we've used. I know in the past we've thrown around the idea of coming in with a couple of different like research projects, either like ones where we're definitely like here's a couple of us that are definitely going to be working on this, and maybe a couple of things on the side so if people want to come in and work on start something themselves. Um, I'm trying to remember the other ideas that I feel like that wasn't the only thing that we had talked about. But I definitely want to leave this meeting today just deciding on like what is the thing we want to do very high level with this hour-long block.
Were there any specific projects, Callie, that you were thinking of that you had in mind to focus on already?
And so I would say you can actually just go directly over to because my like thought process with this would be like 1 to 2 like focuses that are like going in knowing planning and like 2 or 3 here are some side options. Um, and based off of um what we have in the working group now. I don't know if the language people are going to be around because I know that there's been a lot of talk on I don't know, this one.
Mm-hmm.
So if these folks are going to be here, this would be one of the things I'd be like, let's have this as the namesay, have those people are able to sit down and work on this in person. I have been talking a lot about and continuously dropping the usage, adoption, and popularity. Like this would like working on this with you would be like what I want to do and trying to keep on moving on like getting this like moving and forward and talking through like okay not just from like how we write this up, but even more of a high level, like, okay, what is the building blocks to actually analyzing this? What is the like how do we actually make a cohesive picture to analyze usage, adoption, and popularity? So that would probably be the one that I would want to focus on. But from there, I think that we have a pretty good set of things here we can choose from. One thing that I'm gonna probably talk to somebody on my team about, the like CNCF portion of my team is starting to look at the impact of donating a project to the CNCF.
Mm.
Um, and I'm really trying to I've like tried to like be like because I know what they're doing and it's like it's in the lens of okay Red Hat's donating these projects, what is the impact, how has that changed things, and I'm like 97-98% of that is generic. Like I know like it's not specific to um Red Hat thing. And so while we're gonna like as Red Hat we want to know that from the lens of our company, I think that that is something that's useful to just about everyone. And so I know that she is going to be like attending all of this and to have somebody bring in research who's never like been a part of this group. That's a big ask, but I'm hoping that's something that I'm kind of in the side hoping for because I know that like there's like foundational stats is already maybe there is just like a foundational stats. We look at the foundational stats and I kind of be like, hey, go talk to these folks and let's try to figure out how to bring these projects together because I know we've just done a round of like surveying within the company of all the people who have donated projects within and have like a set of questions. And she's starting to work on using like 8 knot visualizations to look at the time shift. So maybe there's a foundational stats area of this. I think maybe like the kind of my idea for this is pretty free formed, but I think we're already starting to get like some structure into it of, hey, let's start working in person and get a good kickoff for the year of the things that we've already started to prioritize and know that we want to do when asynchronous work is kind of hard at some points to really get a solid kick forward.
Cool. Okay, so what I've been trying to take notes.
Yes, thank you.
So basically the usage practitioner guide, foundation stats, and maybe brainstorming how to bring what Red Hat's been working on into the project.
Yeah.
And then the language folks that have been working on language, did you want to reach out to them or did you want me to
Um, we
ask?
could do you know, does anybody actually know the folks that have been talking? I'm not familiar with any of these people.
They've
Like,
they've been in the group. I think weren't they from the Fedora project?
oh, I don't know. Some of them are. I don't know if anybody's been like paying attention the last couple of days, but there's a new contributor that's been coming in that's been like really
Yeah,
working on this. Do you know,
I've
have
been
you
seeing
seen them
that.
in the, do you know if they're in the Slack channel or are they only on, been talking on the repository?
I'll reach out
Okay,
and see if
because
they're going to
if
be
they
here.
are here around,
Maybe I'll just leave a comment on the GitHub issue because that seems to be getting a bit of traction.
yeah, because I think that's like this is like such a good example of okay, we have a little bit of traction, let's capitalize on it. Another like more free form thing that I think kind of like goes in, say people are coming out of the rapid prototyping like kind of section and want to continue to work on it, that's where I would like be kind of wanting to leave room for people to work on visualizations in 8 knot. It really starts more in a note. I would the vast majority of them, I recommend people to start in a notebook, and we have starter notebooks. There's actually this transitions well to the discussions about Rappel. But I think that's if people want to work on something that's a little bit more small scoped and that they can work on by themselves, working on metrics and visualizations that have already been defined in chaos to be an 8 knot would be something that I'd kind of want to leave. Then it kind of leaves an option for if people are on that brain track to leave them there and you can answer questions and show them how to kind of go about doing that because new visualizations in 8 knot is something that I'm really hoping to push more towards this year because it's been a bit stagnant for a while. And it kind of brings everything together.
Okay, so that gives us the usage practitioner guide, foundation stats, the language folks if they're going to be there, and then 8 knot visualizations. And that feels like, I don't know, that feels like probably enough. If there's something that's not on the list that someone wants to work on, we could certainly add it on the day.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because it doesn't like people want to take it somewhere different. I just don't want I think this fills every crevice of how people might want to work. Because I'm also like happy like I'll be definitely focused on the user practitioner guide, but I'm happy to like it's easy for me to like like switch mindsets for a second, answer a few questions about making visualizations in 8 knot and stuff like that. But it also makes it to where the work that I need to do for other sections just is repeating on itself, which is make it create the issues on 8 knot for visualizations and stuff. It's pretty simple. I'll probably just end up making issues that are just linking directly to either metrics models or even just like saying, okay, like take the visualizations and metrics from this practitioner guide and so that we can make an entire page. Because my hope is that we'll have a practitioner guide tab on 8 knot and then you would have the metrics that are specific for each of those practitioner guides there and ready
That'd
for
be super
people.
cool.
And that's kind of those are the kind of things that I'm thinking about going into this next year of how we kind of bridge these different aspects of the project together.
Cool.
All right.
Okay. So anything else on the breakout session? Or do we feel like we've got enough to get us started?
I feel
Okay.
good. For Dawn and Sal, I'll be actually in European time zone for the week leading up to CHAOSScon, just as like a co-working, like you'll know where I'm at, like time zone wise.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's helpful. Okay. So the next thing we have on the agenda is moving Rappel over.
Yes, I what I wanted to do was to just go synchronously through where I'm at with this, and we can kind of talk through, figure out this is not the right tab. What is the gap of where it's at now and where it needs to be, and also if people have suggestions on how for me, how I do this. I wanted to get like for people who aren't aware, um, under the Project Aspen umbrella, it's been 8 knot and Rappel, which Rappel is just kind of a name for open research. That existed predating the data science working group. Now that the data science working group exists, this isn't necessary, and I don't want it to exist anymore to separate out where no like where research is done, because a lot of this is the precursor of more complex visualizations that goes into 8 knot, or research that we do that's more specific to Red Hat. Anything that can be public, we put it here, and I want that to change to be under the data science working group, but I don't want to lose the resources that we have. And so I've been taking what this is like the current state of Rappel, and I have pretty much just cleared everything out. And this would be and we can figure out what name you would want it, but this would be the single directory that would get moved over to the CHAOSS Data Science Working Group. And I want to make sure that this entire directory is in the state that we want it to be before opening it, because it's going to be a giant, difficult PR to even parse through, because there's going to be probably like 100 files. So like I've been wanting to go back and forth with people now to make sure, as much as possible, there's probably gonna be more things that we want to change of naming, organization. For some context, there is a lot of research that has been done by people who are no longer at Red Hat and are no longer active in this work. And I still think they're useful resources, but I wanted to make sure to separate those out so then people know that realistically, if they have questions about it, like I can answer the best I can. But those authors and that research has been put in like as you see here, the attic notebook, they've been put into the attic. These are notebooks that I think are great for people to look at if they're starting at research. They're resources, but they are not going to be something that are being actively worked on. And then we have the directory for 8 knot, which are this is kind of how visualizations get built in 8 knot that are more complex. Start with the notebook, you go through the notebook phase, and then you open the PR for 8 knot. So then the data pre-processing is done in a way that can be reviewed and iterated on in itself, and then how it's integrated, like more of a software engineering standpoint, is done on the 8 knot side. But this folder will be good for people in those different sections of, we have these notebooks, you have a Plotly tutorial of like how do you start making these visualizations, and you have a bunch of notebooks to go off of hey, here are the notebooks that went into making each of the, it's a one-to-one, and if you look at the code that's in 8 knot, it is a copy and paste from each of these. So I went to click the wrong thing. So we have 8 knot, which is just the visualizations that go into 8 knot. The attic notebooks, which has a lot of different stuff in here. We have Augur archive. So if anybody is familiar with the Augur front end, these were things that went into that whenever it was not just a oh, but the words are like a admin portal is pretty much what the Augur front end is now, because 8 knot exists. Old visualizations, these kind of fit under that same one. Visualizations that were done even at Red Hat that predate my time. And different research that's been done in the past looking at emerging AI projects, like I said, you can kind of read through these, but these are different research efforts that were done in the past. And I think they're really useful to look at, but they are in the attic. And then we have some survival analysis curves that was worked on by Greg Sutcliffe. Well, they're kind of more on pause. The person is still around, and Greg will talk to you about survival analysis as long as you would like. Um, so yeah, this is the current state and structure. I know that Notebooks is not going to be the final name of the overarching directory, but just wanted to give a walkthrough and get some feedback on it.
Yeah, so I think this all looks good. We kind of talked about it
Yeah.
on Slack back and forth about putting things in the attic and where things go. So I think that's good. Um, let's just talk for a minute about what we should call that directory. I mean, should we everything under here is specific to it uses the Augur database, correct? I
Yes.
wonder I wonder if we just call it something like Augur visualizations and just be really specific.
Yes, and that fits what like the description of this ended up being, because I think that's
Mhm.
kind of what we were talking about before. Of these are notebook specific, so it kind of just be like Augur notebooks. These are all notebooks that are dependent on connecting to an Augur database. That's the structure that is used. Um, that makes sense. I might want to add in here a link to the Augur schema, even though the ones that list is a little bit out of date, so then people can see that schema. But that like so it would just be Augur underscore notebooks is kind of what.
Augur dash notebooks. We try to use dashes in
Dash.
filing. Yeah.
Okay, do you want me to
Um,
change all these all of these folder as the
no.
okay.
No,
All right.
I wouldn't bother. And I've
Augur.
been inconsistent on it. I was just looking at the data science working group repository and challenges, surveys, and underscore practitioner guides as a dash. Within the Chaos project, we sort of standardized on dashes, but we're not particularly consistent about it. I wouldn't say if you want to go through and change them all, you can, but that feels like a lot of work for not a lot of benefit.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'll change that. And I don't know if I've talked a little vaguely, and I need to look at what Adrian had suggested of the best way that I can go about um, taking this directory and opening it as a PR to the data science working group. Maybe it is just doing it locally where I copy the directory and paste it into and we would probably at what level? I just want to be pretty specific since we're talking about it now of
I
what
think we can probably put it right at the top level. I was just
top
looking at this
level.
because it
Yeah,
doesn't fit nicely into any of these.
I
Um,
agree.
and so I think it can stand on its own as just Augur visualizations.
Did you
The-
That would be good.
did
And
you
I
want
do
to
think
keep the
probably copying the directory locally and just doing it as a one big PR. That's not normally how you would do something like this, I think, but I think given all the conversations we've had about it, I think maybe that's just the best way to do it.
yeah,
Because I'll be
if there's a
honest,
way
like
to get this just to
I'll do a
read it.
review on
Yeah,
the READMEs and stuff, but all the old notebooks and stuff, I think I'm just gonna trust you and we
please
can
don't.
probably just merge that.
Yes,
I'll do a
thank you.
sanity check to make sure that everything looks like it's where we think it's supposed to be, but yeah, I think that I don't know, Adrian, did you have any other thoughts on
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, I think Callie, did you say you wanted to keep the full Git history of these files? I think that
If
might be
possible.
possible. It might be a bit of a challenging thing. I think I've done stuff like that before, but
If we
um,
can, I do because
I
then it's more useful to be able to see who to reach out to.
okay.
I would ask Brian if you should do that or not. Because there
Okay.
could be sensitive comments because the problem is this was a private repository within Red Hat.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, it was never a
This
private repository within Red Hat. It was always in the open source. Okay, okay, cool. So we don't have
we have a
the
different one for that.
yeah, yeah, okay. So we don't have the challenge of people may have made commits not understanding that it was going to be made public. Okay, never mind. I withdraw my comment. Cool. And then the other thing is we do need Brian's explicit permission to do this.
Okay.
So um, yeah, so before that PR gets merged, I just want to see Brian's comment on it that says yes, Red Hat is contributing this to the Chaos project.
Is that where best maybe should I just open like maybe I should open an issue on the data science working group of move repel over so then Brian can comment, yes, I approve, like, is that, do you
Yeah.
think that's a good way of doing that? Okay.
Yeah, that would be perfect. I just want paper trail so that,
Yeah.
in a few years, if somebody at Red Hat is like, I don't understand how this got contributed to the Linux Foundation, we have a um, paper trail.
Books over to the
Cool. Okay. So does that give you
Yep,
what you
that's
need for
exactly.
that?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk through it quickly because this was a lot quicker. I think I'll probably be able to get this in. It probably open the PR up today, as long as I don't have any crazy issues trying to do the directory move over. And yeah, it'll be cool to get this over and finished.
Okay, cool. Um, yes, we still have Ernest. You want to give us just a quick update on the foundation stats? I saw you typed a few things in there, but maybe just a quick
Oh
update.
yeah, thank you. So last December we took a break, due to the we had some busy things running through, but now we're resuming, and that means that we've resolved to manually attack the data collection. So, and luckily, we are seeing some new contributors that are showing interest. So, I will be actively on that trail from, let's say, next week. And then gathering all the data that we needed for Apache, most importantly, then Eclipse and likely on CNCF. So, our target is this quarter one. We want to have a public report, maybe a white paper or a paper that at least talk about the metadata audit that we've been trying to do. So that's the target. And
That's
one of the potential contributors are on this call today, or Olua Shino. She reached out to me on
yeah,
LinkedIn
yeah.
and I refer that. Yeah.
You're welcome to introduce yourself, Orelua. If you're in a place where you can talk or you can type something in the chat, whatever works for you.
Okay, yeah, I can introduce myself. My name is Orolua. I'm from Nigeria, and I've been exploring open source, and I'm currently interested in the project. And I'm currently a student at the University of Lagos, Nigeria. And yeah, I'm quite excited to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome. We're happy to have you helping out with the Foundation Stats project because it's a pretty interesting project for sure. Um, so we don't have any other agenda items, but I know Matt, you and I talked a little bit about some of the things that you were working on and interested in. I don't know if you want to spend a couple of minutes. Do you
I'd love to
want?
introduce myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Don. So my name is Matt Trefiro, and I am the founder of the Commercial Open Source Startup Alliance. And the reason it intersects with this group is I believe that healthy companies and healthy projects can and should coexist, and the best way to prove that is with data. And so I found some simpatico friends here, Don being one of the earliest, invited me along. I've also been working quite closely with Garrig and Daniel at Bitergia, and we're going to be releasing some really interesting stuff coming up soon. But I'm really excited to be a new participant in CHAOSS. Love the work that you guys have done historically, and excited to contribute and collaborate.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
You bet.
I have a question. With the
Yeah.
research that y'all are working on, is that any of that something that we can discuss within this working group, or is it something that we'll more have to wait until it's published to have
Oh
open
boy, that's a
discussions about
great
it?
question. Yeah, yeah. Well, in fact, Garrick and Daniel have suggested creating a working group around some of the work that we're doing, which is to take some of the chaos metrics and other metrics and combine them into what might look like a signal that an investor or a founder could use to measure how their project and community are doing relative to their business. And Don has suggested that this working group would be a good place to find folks that have interest in that, but it may actually belong in a different working group. But I'm happy to cross-pollinate or end up, sharing and working on the work any place that's appropriate. The other thing that I'm directly involved in is the Linux Foundation last year published a report that I was a co-author of, LF Research, called the State of Commercial Open Source 2026. We're doing a new one in 2027. 2026 was based on 30 years of VC and M&A and acquisition and public market data across about 800 open source projects and about 800 private source projects. And the data demonstrates pretty conclusively, in my opinion, that healthy communities contribute directly to the success of commercial open source companies. And so that data is really interesting, and that report is available for free from the Linux Foundation. The 2026 report, we've just kicked that off. We've got two sponsors. Red Hat is Amazon's the lead sponsor. Red Hat is the whatever the second, is a supporting sponsor. And this year we're going to be doing interviews, mostly surveys of founders and investors.
That's great.
Yeah,
I would say with like the first stuff that you're talking about of like creating another working group, at least my like personal opinion is, I guess, why make a new working, I think it fits under this working group. I think I'm biased of like wanting all like data science research to exist under this working group, so then it continues to be a space for like a lot of open collaboration. So
Well, why don't we do
that
this, Callie? I talked to the Bitergia guys on Friday. I will suggest that. I'll bring that into that call. They're very familiar with CHAOSS and what they're thinking. I'm the outsider here still. So I'm sure, and maybe what I'll suggest is, hey, let's show up at the next data science working group meeting and let's have a discussion. It may be that we're doing too much busy work to not have a separate work stream. But I think a regular collaboration certainly makes sense, and maybe it is the same group after all. But I'd love to bring that to the Bitergia guys.
Yeah, it depends a little bit on where they want to take this, because if they want it to be more like the OSPO working group, where they have discussions about, what are the things that matter for, commercial open source vendors, what are some of if they want to have like bigger, broader discussions around commercial open source in general and the metrics associated with it, then maybe a working group would be good. If we really want to just build a data set, we can do that here. So I think, yeah, like I said, Matt and I have talked. He hasn't had a chance to talk to the other folks he's been talking to. So I guess we'll
I'm
kind of
not super opinionated. Like wherever people want to help contribute, I'll go there.
Cool.
And yeah, because I could see it definitely being a little bit or somewhere in the middle, where I would definitely want to push for the work to exist under the data science working group repository, so then we can kind of all collaborate on it. And I would definitely see during more of the heightened points of this work that you might need to have like a separate meeting, but trying to do as much of it that is like the research side in here, so there's more collaboration. This works great.
Well, there's a really simple starting place, and maybe if I describe it, you can tell me whether it's perfectly appropriate or not. So it turns out there is no canonical list of commercial open source companies. Like, it just doesn't exist. And what that means is you can't go to Carta or CB Insights or any data broker and say, hey, tell me this. I want to do research on commercial open source companies, because at least that list doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. And so I've started compiling this list. It's up to 1,600 companies, so it's still something that I can manage as rows in a spreadsheet. I suspect I'm still off by 50%. But again, that list doesn't exist, and there are no good lists of this. So there will be this canonical list that I would like the community to own and contribute to. Is that the kind of thing that would belong? Okay. Then that makes perfect sense.
It kind of fits similarly to like what we just did with Rappel, even though it's a different format. I'm hoping that the data science working group repository ends up being like this rich resource of different types of data sources. You're starting to look at like what's going on over in like foundational stats is like working on gathering that data. I think that's a large portion of it. And so it existing here also allows for other people that aren't y'all to maybe do research that you haven't even thought of. There's a lot of people that have been coming in asking for different things. So by providing, if that does exist, providing different ideas, you'd be surprised by how many people want to kind of take those type of things and run, especially people who are in the academia space and are looking for different kind of research opportunities that are actually like kind of applicable in the real world.
Great. I'm super excited, Callie. I appreciate the invitation, and like I said, I'm talking to some of these folks on Friday, and I'll bring up this discussion.
For sure. Are y'all going to be at CHAOSScon this year?
I was not planning to travel. I had not gotten enough advance notice, but that would have been a lot of fun. But I bet Daniel will probably be there.
Yeah, happy to discuss there, or if there's like kind of like further stuff, like just reach out to me. We can talk about it here. Because yeah, this would be great to kind of populate kind of some new life and new types of research in this group.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
So I've got kind of an agenda for the next meeting, which is we'll probably need to do just a bit more on the chaos planning, just tighten that up a little bit as we get closer to the event, because it'll be actually all right, here's my question. The next data science working group meeting is on the 27th, which is basically 2 days before CHAOSScon. Um, do we want to hold that meeting? Do we want to cancel that meeting? I'll be honest. I think I'm going to take that Monday and Tuesday off since I'm going to be working from Wednesday straight through the weekend.
I'll be skiing in France. So unless there is something that is desperately needed of me, please don't need me.
Okay, let's do that. You know what? We'll cancel the next meeting. I'm gonna put this at the top.
I'm sorry to hear that, Callie. That sounds horrible.
Just terrible.
To
Um,
be honest, from my
I,
end, I don't know how accessible the meeting could be for us. Maybe we could just meet off this meeting anyways. I want to have consistent meetings with new contributors, just find a way to keep tab with the data we are collecting because time goes by very easily. But I guess we can do that off the chaos um off this call. So it's okay to cancel it. I wanted to think otherwise before.
If you want to if you want me to leave the January 27th meeting, I can just say that you'll facilitate it. And you can work on the foundation stats project and focus the meeting on that if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that would cool for me. That would be okay.
Okay. So, Ernest facilitating um focus meeting on foundation stats. Okay. And so the project updates, commercial open source data and stuff, we'll put that in February.
and
Same
for
with same with your update, Matt.
Yeah, that makes sense because I think that all like so many of us are just heads down on CHAOSScon, and then we can kind of discuss what things look like afterwards. I was curious if we can kind of talk about this for you, Don and Sal. Are y'all planning on coming to Brussels the day prior, or are y'all training in the day of? I'm pretty much trying to figure out any people who are trying to train the day of. I want to prepare for their absence in case.
Yeah, because there are train disruptions, is what Callie's talking about. There are some train disruptions. No, I am coming in. I should be in Brussels early afternoon on Wednesday, so I'll be there in
Okay.
advance.
Okay, 'cause that leaves time for things to go wrong. We can talk to Sal to see what their kind of plans are, just in case, because if somebody else needs, it's a little bit easier because our content is a little bit later in the afternoon, but I wouldn't be surprised if we go to the next call and the entire schedule gets turned around because this is a I don't know. Has this happened before, or is this like a new problem? Is this like a new thing?
No, this actually happened last year, but not, it wasn't quite so widespread. So last year it was the German
Yeah.
train operators that were striking, and we had quite a few people coming in via
Yep.
train from Germany, and so we had several. Luckily, I don't think it was any speakers. I think the speakers were able to make it. They were able to book flights or something and get there, so it wasn't quite as disruptive. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how bad it's going to be. We'll see.
With this,
We should
yeah.
have a better idea of what things look like once that rail, um, was an industrial action or something. That's what we call them in the UK. Um, when
Oh, so
that
you're gonna have a little bit of a
starts,
notice. Like it's not gonna be like day of every like most like it sounds like there's a little bit more organization when it comes to how these strikes work.
um, I don't know. I couldn't find a lot of information about it, but what I did see was that oh, no, I can't find the. Oh, there we go. So the strike is right before the Fosdown weekend.
Yep.
The website that I'm looking at is very helpfully in Dutch, which does not help me. Um, oh, their website's down for maintenance. That's great.
The website's on strike too.
Website's on strike. That's what happens. Okay, so the strike though is before the Fosdown weekend. So what we need to do is find out when the strike starts, and then we can look at the actual, like, we can look at the impact from where people are coming. Like, we can see, on if it starts on Monday, we can look on, say, Tuesday and see what the trains from Paris to Brussels are looking like. Um, and also sometimes the strikes get resolved before they happen, at least in the UK. So we'll see what happens. But if we look at how disrupted things are a day or two before ChaosCon, I think that'll give us an indication for how bad it's going to be.
Yep.
But we won't be able to do that until right before. So we'll see.
Yeah. It might be good for us if we can kind of talk the next one of like just identify what speakers like if speakers are coming on a plane so we don't really this is like trying to figure out who's actually coming in on train so we know who to check in with that week instead of needing to like reach out to everybody and so we know who we're
Yeah.
targeting.
Well, we can talk to Garrett because
Yeah.
I think he's got some other speaker communications, and so this is probably on his list. But we can just double check in the ChaosCon meeting, which I think should be soon.
Yeah. Sweet.
Okay, awesome. We're out of time. Thanks everybody for being here. This was a really interesting meeting, and I look forward to seeing some of you at FOSDEM, and the rest of you will see you in February.
Sounds good. See you, everybody.
You guys.
Thanks everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.